Hello, everyone. My name is Roast, and this is going to be another one of those kind of rambling videos. It's going to be unedited. I'm not sure how long it'll be. It may end up being sort of half an hour-ish. And it's going to be about my very first experience of Path of Exile. So, with that said, you know what to expect now. I'm going to go over four kind of areas, if you like. My table of contents is number one, why am I making this video? Number two, my general experience after 115 hours. Uh, the final build on completion of the campaign. And the last bit is going to be why I went blind and why I would recommend it to others. So, Um, I think I'll maybe put up some. Let me put up some things here. Okay, so number one, why I'm making this video. Mm-mm. Why am I making this video? Okay. When I started playing Path of Exile, I came across, well, I started playing it this year, so it's now 2024, and I started playing in like the middle of May. And my original plan was to play it last year sometime, like, I don't know, summertime last year, maybe kind of this time last year. And I did watch some video guides. I did um, look at Path of Building, and I can't remember what else I looked at, but just to get a rough idea. And I read some forum posts, I looked at some tips and tricks, and it did feel a little bit like too much. It's like you have to pass, it just felt like you had to pass some kind of entrance exam. And then I kind of just left it. I just thought, oh, this is too much. I found a kind of play along video that, who was it? Zizaran. He made a play along video, which was like, I don't know, 10 hours or something. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this and then follow along with the path of building, pause the video, play. And I thought, nah, I just left it. I was sort of half planning to do it. And then, I got into playing other games. And in my kind of queue, if you like, my kind of list of games that I'm planning to play, which don't often or don't always, let's say, come into being. Uh, this time I had Path of Exile queued up. I think I had it earlier, maybe April, but I was playing other games. I think I was in Borderlands 3, then I played some Dead Island. And then once I was done with that, I thought, okay, let's do it. It's time. And I remembered that I'd done this research the previous year, but I couldn't actually remember what I'd researched. I remember that it was a complicated game, that it was advised that you have a build guide, and that you don't go in blind, right? That was the advice, that you shouldn't go in blind. So then I looked at some videos, I looked at forums, I looked at Reddit, and the opinion was kind of mixed. It wasn't like, yay, definitely use a build guide because otherwise you get overwhelmed. And others were saying, no, no, just go in blind. So why am I making this video? Because I thought, okay, at this point, I've just finished the campaign. Well, I actually finished the campaign about a week or so ago, and I've started a new character, which I'm now playing with a build guide. So that's like a different story, but it's still close to that point where I've just finished it, so I can sort of stop, give my first impressions. And I think if this could be useful for new players who want to have a go at the game but feel maybe a little bit overwhelmed. They look at the skill tree and think, oh my God, I've got to learn all of that. Or they look at possible builds that are out there, and then the advice that's coming at you is, get a build guide, do your homework first. And I went in blind, and some people, on Reddit were saying that as well. I don't know if it was 50-50, but maybe I was looking at Reddit posts where the opinion was a bit 50-50. But having read those posts, it kind of felt like, okay, it's up to me now. I didn't feel that pressure to like, right, I need to get a build guide and choose a build and then use that. Nor did I feel like, no, I have to do it blind. And I'm someone who does tend to follow guides and maybe even watch a let's play before I'll go into a game. I like to get a rough lay of the land before I go into it. And in the end, I decided, okay, how hard can it be? Uh, and it's also because it was my first impression. So I'm making this so that new players who are thinking of going into it will maybe not decide to go in blind, because it's up to you whether you go in blind or go in with a build guide. But I want to kind of put the argument really why um, going in blind might be a good idea, something to consider. And then still, it's up to you what you do for your first character and your first playthrough. Um, yeah. Okay. So that is the intro. So the next bit is my general experience of the game. General experience. Uh, the 115 hours. So people who know the game, people who've played it many times, they just call the campaign, the story of the game, if you like. I won't explain too much if you haven't played it, so you won't get spoilers. But yeah, there is a campaign with a story and quests to do, and your character then, like in other games, you accept the quest and then you go and do the quest and turn it in and you get a reward. Um, so there's that side of the game. But uh, people who are super experienced at the game and have played it many times, they just call the campaign leveling, because they say, oh, well, the campaign is essentially a tutorial. So after that is where the game really begins, because then there's this other thing that happens, which again I won't. If you're new to the game, I won't spoil that. But it took me, because I was exploring. I was like killing everything. Another thing you're not meant to do. You're trying to get through the campaign kind of quickly, which doesn't really make much sense to you when you're playing for the first time. And I'm stopping to explore like what the skills are, spending time looking at the skill tree. And I did it live on stream, and I put in my stream title that I didn't want any help. I'm playing it blind. Don't give me any tips and pointers. And my chat were actually pretty good, new people coming in who are very, very experienced at the game, trying hard to bite their tongues or bite their fingers. They did a good job of holding back and just letting me kind of enjoy the game for the first time. I had my general experience was that I had an absolute blast. I had a really good time through that whole kind of 115 hours that it took me. I mean, I was stopping to chat a lot, so I think those hours did get locked up as game time. Uh, so what did I do? I think I just picked up a skill, um, and then started using that, and then found another skill which I kind of thought, oh, this might be better, and then tried that for a bit, and was really just experimenting. But in the game, there's a built-in help as well, so you don't have to like go out of the game, look stuff up on the internet, and then come back again. There's an inbuilt help, and certain help um, documents or help articles do get unlocked as you progress through the game. Because, as some people say, the campaign or the story is a bit of a tutorial. So, if you leave the tutorials on, it's kind of telling you and helping you, like, oh, this is this, you can do this here, and you start to get the mechanics of the game. I'm also very, very new to ARPGs. I haven't played Diablo before, or Grim Dawn, or any of those kind of top down or isometric type of games. I played a little bit of Torchlight 2. That's about it. So, and that was a long time ago. So I was having a hard time just controlling the character. So I'm used to games where you control the character movement with your left hand, right? If you're right-handed, so the left hand WASD, or what I use is that shifted over slightly, ESDF, or however you set up your keybinds, and then the mouse is for looking around. Whereas here, you're not changing the camera as such. The camera's always fixed, but you're using your mouse. So you click the mouse and the character moves to the point that you've clicked. Which, of course, like you don't have to stop and explain that to someone who's played ARPGs before. But because of my lack of experience, it took me a couple of days. The first, like, I don't know, 10 hours or whatever, just to kind of figure out, like, okay, if I click there, the character goes there. If I do that, they stop. Um, so that's not so much to do with the game, more quality of life. People did explain that. So I said, quality of life help and tips are allowed. So how things like how to manage my inventory, how to set up keys and things. I said, okay, that's fine. Explain that to me, or some of the UI things in the game, where to find that in the options. Uh, there's a map overlay and how to like change the transparency and the magnification. All of that was explained to me because I had people watching me. So that was really, really nice. Uh, but yeah, at the beginning, I almost felt like giving up because it's like the very, very basic thing of like, how do I move my character? I just couldn't figure it out. And then it would start moving and then I couldn't stop it. But, now I've got it, after all, over 100 hours, yeah, I got it. And as soon as I'd got it and I got all my quality of life things set up, then it was like, yeah, okay, here we go. I'm getting the hang of this. And then you get some like skills that allow you to move a little bit faster. So that kind of um, improved things as well. As I kind of progressed through the story, you're like the two things that you have in any kind of game, right? You've got survivability and you've got damage, and you're kind of deciding, do I go more for damage? Do I go more for survivability? And I had that in my mind as something that is kind of consistent from game to game. Whatever kind of RPG mechanics a game has will have those two kind of very broad areas of how do I get more tanky, if you like, and how do I do more damage and what kind of damage. So, as it's an RPG, does it do fire damage? Does it do like poison damage, or does it do shock damage? These are kind of, again, fairly generic from game to game, where you've got certain RPG elements. So that was, in my head, and I thought, okay, maybe as I'm leveling the character, I'll just think about that. Like, how can I survive a little bit better? And then the next level up. Oh, how can I do a bit more damage? What kind of damage am I doing? And sort of went backwards and forwards a bit like that. And it worked. I could make progress. So whenever I was taking more damage, I'd have a look at the tree and think, oh, maybe I'll do that. Although, looking back now, there's quite a lot that I didn't understand, which I do understand a bit better now, but, nothing compared to the people who've played it like over and over again. And yeah, just going back to the fun side of things, that because you don't understand the game, you're going to get frustrated. So this was the message that, or the argument that people were giving, um, in terms of getting a build guide, in terms of learning a bit about the game before you jump in and follow that build guide as you level, uh, is that as you progress through the game, you'll get to a point where your character will just get stuck. And because you haven't leveled the character in a specific way, a kind of min maxing strategy, or method, then the enemies uh, will get so strong that you either won't be able to survive or you won't have enough damage. So you won't be able to make any progress. And I was kind of, being told that again and again. And I'm saying, look, I know that could happen. I know my character could brick. That was the expression that was quite often used, that it'll stall, it'll plateau. And I said to myself, well, this is like a first time. And you can only ever have one first time, right? When you play the game again, it won't be your first time. It's like your first kiss, or whatever you do for the first time is that one time that you can do it. And you can never have the first time twice. And for that reason as well, is why I chose to go with blind and not studying guides or going into the wiki, or looking up tutorials. I did do a tiny bit of that kind of towards, let's say, the second half. So I was starting to get curious and I couldn't stop myself, but I did limit myself. So I did have like a little sneak peek. But I said, right, for my second character, I will get a build guide and I will read up on everything, and yeah, do it and allow people to come in and give me as much help and advice as they want. So I kind of put that to one side and said, okay, that's coming, but for now, let's just continue with this. And the character did make progress. I mean, some people are saying that your character will even brick during the campaign section. And I know some of the bosses can be tough, but I thought um, there's no huge penalty for dying. Later in the game, there is, but if your character dies, you don't lose any kind of items. I think later you lose a little bit of XP, but early in the game, it's no big deal. So if you're having a hard time against a boss, you can just die and go into the arena again and have another go and gradually whittle their health down until you kill them and then you can move on. So, no biggie, but it meant that I could just keep progressing, move forward, and gradually just unfog the game. You know, in certain games, the map, or in this one as well, the map is kind of fogged out. And as you explore the map, it becomes unfogged so that you can see where you've been and you can see the whole layout of that map that you're in. And that way of um, showing you the map is also in other games as well. So I was like familiar with that. But in terms of using that as a metaphor for learning the game, I could see that that was happening as I was playing the game, reading the help files, experimenting, exploring. I was starting to put like pieces together and thinking, all right, if I do this, look, that skill says it does this. That would probably work with that. Let's try it. And I could, you could feel the changes that you make. Right? In some games, like you take a certain skill on the skill tree and you feel a slight change, but it's not hugely noticeable. In this game, it's kind of immediately apparent. Like you make some changes or you kind of add a certain skill. Um, there's ways to kind of buff your skills as well. So if you're doing, I don't know, some kind of melee or a ranged character, the bow and arrow here, there's other ranged characters as well. But then you've got your basic attack, and then if you add certain support skills, as they're called, to the initial main skill, you notice it immediately. You can really feel how much extra damage you're doing. And yeah, that the enemies are dying quicker, or if you put like some kind of movement skill on, you immediately notice like, whoa, that I've got a lot faster. So that was really satisfying. Like you change some of the skills, you get different armor items to make yourself stronger or to like prevent damage, and you can feel like, oh right, I'm taking a lot less damage now. And the mixing and matching, trying things out, you notice that, oh look, this doesn't really work. Oh, this works really well. And then you don't know how long it's going to keep working because you're moving on to the next chapter, as it were, and or acts they're called in this game. As you move to the next act, you can feel the difficulty going up, and then you think, oh, well, how do I approach it? Do I need to think more about dodging? All of those things that I'm trying to figure out because I'm not going into the wiki to look it up. But there's enough in the help file in the game to kind of show you that. So let me. So here's my first character, and I've called it, because it's a female character, I called it Miss Roasty. And if I go into it, this character, after 115 hours, is, if it loads up, has just got beyond the main story. So uh, there's a part one and a part two. So yeah, some spoilers here if you don't want to see this. Um, but this is the point where I kind of stopped playing, uh, and then the next, or the main part of the game, it begins. Uh, so there's part one. You get 5 acts, and they're kind of repeated in part two. So from 6 to 10, slightly different monsters or enemies. Yeah, monsters they're called in this game. And then you moved on to this epilogue, and you get another skill tree. So this is what kind of puts a lot of people off. They see this huge skill tree and think, "Oh my god, how am I supposed to navigate around this?" Well, my way of looking at it was, let's say you're learning a language, right? You don't get the dictionary and just like learn every word in that language. You start with what? You start with hello, how are you? Or how much is this? Or how do I get to the train station? You just learn enough to get by. And if you're going to go, if you're just on holiday, that's probably enough. Or how much is a kilo of tomatoes? But if you're going to live there, then you might do a language course and you slowly build up. But you say for your cat, there's if I zoom in here, so you see these cog things. Um, that's where your character, depending on which character you or type or class you choose, they're gonna have a starting point. So this one, you see there, that's their starting point, and then you go from there. So, so the starting point is the class that you choose, and then after that, you can like go in any direction. Like I could have gone from there. I think I did to start with, and I changed it. I don't know, because you can get like refund points. You don't get many of those, but and then I'm just reading these things, but the help I was talking about is here. So there's a help panel within the game, and that will explain a lot of things like the basics, like skill gems too. Like, okay, when you level up a gem, what happens? And you've got enough here to get by. This is like going on holiday and having a little phrase book. You don't need to learn the language, but you need to learn enough to get by. And that is what I used. Like, okay, let's see what the game can teach me. And there's enough here to get by for the first playthrough. So there's my actual character here. Well, it's a multiplayer game, so you kind of you see other people online, but that is the my Miss Roasty bow and arrow character. Um, so I think I've said enough now about the. Let's see, what was I talking about? I was talking about my general experience. So you get a sense of what it was like for me. I had an absolutely lovely time and was able to play without help. The next thing would be um, my final build. So this again might be a little bit of a spoiler for some people. This is more for the people who know the game quite well. They're gonna might want to have a look at this. So I thought I'd share this. Um, uh, my final build at the end. Now, the end doesn't mean the end of the game. There's still, this is essentially what people would call early game. So let's go back into it. And the build is, well, partly, okay, partly here. So it ended up becoming a toxic rain ballista kind of character. So here's toxic rain. And then, these support gems, Mirage Archer. And it turns out that if you look up like a build guide for Toxic Rain Pathfinder, then it's kind of similar to this. I think the skill tree and the gear could be a lot more optimized, obviously. And same with flasks. I don't really know about which flasks to go for. It's just like, okay, I need life and mana. The other ones, I use this for speed. These two, I don't know. Use that for resistances. And then, of course, when I saw these unique items, I kind of went for them thinking, oh, they're good. Which I think they are, but for specific characters. And you then kind of need to think about how to synergize those with your passive skills and your active skills. But yeah, I just grab them because they're orange and think, oh yeah, that's good, isn't it? So yeah, and then I've got this here, Despair, which um, helps to do more chaos damage. So it's all about chaos damage and damage over time. But, you know, I did this without, I did do a few sneaky peeks in terms of research, but not that much. And this was also standard, and I didn't know about trading, so it was kind of a solo self fund way of playing because no one gave me anything. I didn't buy anything. This is all stuff that I found during my playthrough from drops. So all of this is stuff that I dropped. Um, yeah, I'm not sure about that way of describing drops, whether I dropped it or it dropped. There's like different ways that I've heard people talk about it. But yeah, that's it. And here's the skill tree. So I went for Pathfinder, which again I didn't really know about. Because when you first do this, you get 3 options, one of which is Pathfinder. But I just saw this here, Withered. So I saw this before I took Withering Step. I saw Withering Step later. So I saw Withered, and then I looked that up and got an idea of what that meant. Works with chaos, and then of course, yeah. Oh, and the first time I did this, Labyrinth, my God, it just took forever. Died, and I tried again. So that, yeah. And then, of course, chaos and poison aren't the same thing. I just assumed they were, but yeah, it still worked out. Since then, I've looked at Toxic Rain, Ballista, Pathfinder, and looked at the skill trees for designed by people who know what they're doing, and it's very different to this. This is just me kind of like, oh, that looks good. That seems like it might work. But yeah, now that I'm allowing people to comment, they're saying, no, 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 you shouldn't really have taken the poison. That's not chaos. This, yes. This, no. But, you know, still worked out. But I did maybe one map. I haven't done much in the way of maps. So if you look here, yeah, I've tier 2. I think I've done like one tier 1 map, and then I thought, right, okay, it's a good time to stop and do a different build. And I'll just park. It's not like I'm giving up on this one. I'll just park it. All builds and characters, they all end up in standard anyway. And I didn't really understand the whole league business then. And I understand it a little bit better now. I wouldn't say I fully understand it. And of course, there's no. I've got loads of tabs. I don't think I have a. Oh, I do. Okay, so I did go and buy map tab and stash tab, but initially I didn't have those. So there was a sale very recently, and I did get them, so I could like reorganize this now. But at the time, this was kind of my stash tab, but it's like a bit of a mess. And I was keeping the unique ones just because, but yeah. And I also assumed that if I started a new character, I might be able to use some of these unique items. But this is standard, and the new character I started was in League. And yeah, that's another story because that was trading and letting people kind of come in and help me and comment. But yeah, this is kind of where it ended up, and fairly kind of classic, apparently, for yeah, toxic rain. But yeah, eventually people get a 6 link and then put the ballista, not the manual. Oh yeah, I've been doing it manually. But yeah, it was working fairly well, but I haven't got survivability set up as well as it can be, because Pathfinders can be fairly tanky, I've heard. But there it is. That was my end of campaign. And I got to level 74, which I think is roughly where a lot of people end up when they finish the campaign. Okay, so the last bit, the final bit that I want to talk about is why I went blind. So just to kind of come back around to why I made this video in the first place, because I was wondering, do I go blind or do I go with a guide? And I think I've said it there already, because I just wanted to jump in, I wanted to have a go, and I wanted to experience my very first time playing the game. To be full of surprises, to be able to explore and to just try stuff out, and just ignore that advice about, oh, your character can brick, or you need to min max because this game is kind of brutal when it comes to that, not min maxing your character, and you need to know how to do that before you play it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing, and I'm going to stream it, and people are interested to see how I got on. And yeah, my character did not brick before the end of the campaign. I got through it, Maybe it'll brick now, but I'm not playing that character now. I'm playing a Bone Shatter character, and that's, got a lot further. I'm into the yellow maps, and it's fine. But then also people are giving me gifts of like nice gear. So would I recommend it to others? Would I recommend going blind to others? Absolutely. So if you're sitting on the fence and you're like, I want to play this game, but I don't know, I don't want to study all this stuff. I don't want to watch a let's play. I don't want to watch tutorials. I don't want to watch the wiki, or read the wiki, and I don't want to download like a loot filter and path of building and this and that. I just want to play it just like any other game. Go into it, give it a go, see what happens. I say do it because I did it and I had a lot of fun. And look, there's this. This. This is enough for you to get by. Now, you don't need to buy any of these stash tabs. Just organize it how you want, and you'll be fine. I'm telling you. And I learnt about these things here, how to get resistances. Yeah, there's enough here for you to get by if you want to just jump into the game and have a go. Anyway, I think I've rambled for long enough. I really hope that this will help one or two new players who happen to kind of come across my channel and think, ooh, what's this guy got to say about it? So, yeah, I've just finished. I've started a new character, which I've leveled like much, much faster this time. But if you're wondering, should I jump into this game and give it a go and not care about it? Absolutely. Give it a try, and it will be your first time. And don't spoil it. I'd say don't spoil it by reading too much or looking up guides and studying. Just jump in the game, have a go. If your character bricks, it bricks. What the hell? It's just a digital character in a video game. Start over, get a guide, do what you need to do. But I think you'll be absolutely fine. Just choose a class, get in, follow the prompts that the game gives you. I think you're going to be good. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. As I said, I knew it would be long and rambling. So if you have got to the end, thank you for watching so far. And yeah, I hope this helps. And yeah, see you on stream. Those of you who watch me on live on stream. Yeah, the link is below of my Twitch. So I'll say bye bye for now. And enjoy Path of Exile. Okay.